The Magnificent 7 stocks are making headlines again, but not all of them are recovering equally. With the US and China trade war now on a 90-day pause, while investors are rushing back into the scene, into the tech space, sparking a surge in some of the biggest names in the US tech sector. But is it real strength, or is it just like a dead cat bounce? Well, in this video, guys, I'm going to review 3 Magnificent 7 stocks that are indeed showing signs of a very powerful comeback based on my one good trend strategy and also how it looks on my one GT Pro indicator. Stay tuned as I'll break down the charts. I'll go through some of the news article first as to what is happening in the markets, and I'll show you 3 of them which could be primed for the next big move. So first thing first, what are the Magnificent 7 stocks? Well, essentially the Magnificent 7 stocks are 7 of the world's biggest and most influential companies, right? And they are companies like Amazon, Apple, Microsoft, Alphabet, Meta, Nvidia, and Tesla. 7, right? So out of these 7, which are the top 3 right now, whereby we are indeed seeing a really firm reversal? Of course, we got some really good bullish signals triggered as well. So later I'm going to share with you 3 of them. Alright, I'll go through some news article first very quickly as to what is happening, and then I'll share with you guys which are the top 3 that you should be watching right now out of the 7 magnificent stocks. So you can see right over here, right? Amazon Meta leads Magnificent 7 stock search on temporary US-China trade truce. So since the beginning of April, right, Donald Trump introduced what we call reciprocal tariffs on a dozen of countries. It escalated with China, and many of those tech stocks sold down quite heavily as well, especially those with exposure to China. So tariffs with China was escalated all the way to like 145% on Chinese goods coming into the US, and China also introduced their own tariffs at 125% on US goods into China. So that's kind of like a tit for tat trade war. But over the past few days, well, what happens was the US and China came to a deal, and they now reduced their tariffs for 90 days. For US, it's back to 30%. For China, he reduced it back to 10%. So that's a good thing. It's a 90-day pause. It allows more time for China and US to negotiate. That's where it sparked a lot of positive momentum in many of the tech stocks, and we are starting to see strength. So Amazon, Meta, led the Magnificent 7 big tech surge on Monday. Amazon rose 8%, 7% on Meta, Tesla 6.8%, even Apple rose 6.3% as well. So Apple was hit quite badly early of April because a lot of these iPhones are produced in China, and if they're coming to the US, it faced huge tariffs, and that's where it could be hit on their business. Nvidia stock jumped 5.4% as well, and pushing its market cap to just under $3 trillion, the highest value since February 28. Is Nvidia one of the 3 stocks? Well, let's find out in a bit. Same thing, right? Alphabet, Google, and Microsoft stocks rose as well, 3.4%, 2.4%. Microsoft hit its highest closing price in 2025 so far, with shares ending the trading session just over $449. So is it a top 3 of the M7 stocks? Let's find out as well if Microsoft is the one. So this is very bullish news for the technology sector, for the tech trade, as the supply chain concerns will now be significantly reduced because it escalated, all due to the China and US trade war. But now it seems like Donald Trump and also President Xi, is taking a softer stance. They are willing to negotiate, and they know that it's unsustainable, to have such high tariffs for both countries. It effectively stopped the trade flow. So now they're willing to negotiate, and that's a good thing for the markets, and the market is starting to ride on that, and we are starting to see strength. Even for Tesla as well, you can see Tesla sources a considerable amount of parts and batteries from other countries, including China. So for Tesla, even though its cars is produced in the US, however, many of these raw materials, parts, the wheels, comes from China as well, so that will definitely lead to lower margins as well. Same thing for Amazon. It got hit pretty badly as well beginning of April because 30% of its value of goods sold on its website comes from China. So Apple as well, 90% of Apple iPhones are made in China, so that's why Apple got hit pretty badly beginning of April. And China accounted for 17% of Apple's revenue in last year 2024. For Nvidia, that got hit pretty badly due to this tariffs news as well. Well, Chinese companies represent anywhere between 20% and 40% of Nvidia's end customers. So it's a huge market For Nvidia as well, China as well, all right, and that's why Jensen Huang from Nvidia actually visited China, all right, to negotiate with some of the companies as well, to negotiate with the government as well, to kind of like assure them that you'll continue to supply its GPU units to China. So there was a couple of exemptions, like for Apple products, exemption on like smartphones, tablets, and that's where I started to see a bit of strength in the market. And for Nvidia as well, where the US government has placed export bans, right, on Nvidia's H20 chips for China. And that's where it sold off quite heavily with that news. All right, so now with these trade tensions cooling off a little bit, I think Nvidia, we are indeed seeing a very strong rebound. Let's take a look at another news, right? Nvidia turns positive for 2025. Finally, right? Third Magnificent Seven member to do so as favorite group regains growth, right? Momentum. So Nvidia's surge above its 2025 flatline comes after CEO Jensen Huang announced on Tuesday that the company will sell more than 18,000 of its top AI chips to Saudi Arabia as well. So this could be a positive thing because this deal between Saudi Arabia and the US, right, could help Nvidia alleviate any hit from shipping constraints on goods going to China. So this is the M7 stocks right now. You can see that this is a year-to-date performance for Meta 12.7%, Microsoft 7.2%, Nvidia 0.7%, Amazon negative 4.2%. So these are the percentages, right? Some are performing, some are still underperforming from the beginning of the year. So we've seen strength in the US market, right, with the S&P 500 index rebounding firmly as well, led by all the M7 stocks. So now, very simple guys, let's go to dive into three of these M7 stock. Is it Microsoft? Is it Nvidia, Tesla, Meta, Alphabet? Let's find out. I'm going to share with you guys one by one. We'll dive into the charts of each of these stock. I'm going to do a bit of an analysis. Let's take a look at if there are any bullish or bearish signals that have came out. What could be the targets whereby we might hit to, and then some selling can actually come back again, or there could actually be some buying pressure still, and you might want to think about positioning yourselves to ride even more upside. Let's go. So let me share with you guys the very first M7 stocks for today, all right, and that would be Nvidia. The code is NVDA. Pretty much the stock that was covered in the news just now, whereby we saw some pretty good news coming in, all right, between US and China, and that led to a little bit of a rebound. So this is Nvidia right here at about $135. So before I talk about where we were, all right, this over the past few months, you can see that we actually found a very key resistance level right over here from November all the way to February. We were kept below this resistance, that is the $150. Look at this, right? We touched about 1, 2, 3 times. You couldn't get above it, and we sold off all the way down to about $90 to $100 to buy. It's a very good support level. Buyers started to came back right over here as well. That's where it rebounded. So 100 was a very, very good support level, whereby if you have got in and bargain hunt over there, I think that would be a really good opportunity. But at the point in time, it was still rather uncertain. But let's see what has happened. So you can see for Nvidia, right, we have got the green 20 days moving average line that represents the short-term trend. It was up from September all the way up, flat, and that was where we started to see signs of weakness. Look at this, right, started point down, flat, down, down, down. From January, February, all the way down, April, it sold down even more with tariffs being introduced. And this is what happened. And over the past 2 weeks, we started to see signs of the short-term trend turning up. So not too bad. The short-term trend has actually turned up for Nvidia. So what happens is that for any single stocks or any asset classes, what I could do is to turn on the One Good Trend Pro indicator. So I have this strategy called One Good Trend, and based on this strategy, I have this indicator over here called the One Good Trend Pro indicator. It allows me to get an opinion on any stocks in terms of the trend, whether is it bullish or bearish, in just seconds. Let me just show you what I mean. I can just turn on the buy and sell signals. Look at this, 1, 2, 3, pump. Let's turn it on and see what happens. So this is Nvidia. You can see that for Nvidia, right? Well, in January, right over here, we actually had a couple of bearish red signals coming out. Look at this, right? This was in February as well, another one, and it started to sell off even more. So, we actually had bearish signals coming out, not just in April when the tariff was announced, but in fact, since January, there were already signs of weakness, all right, and it started to go lower and lower from 140, 150, all the way to $90 to $100. But let's see what has happened over the past, I would say, 2 weeks. So finally, we actually got a new one GT bullish signal coming out. So that's a good thing, all right, because after 4 or 5 bearish signals, finally we got a new bullish signal coming out. There's a good confirmation of a reversal. And also, as I mentioned, right, the green 20 days moving average line that was sloping down since like January has also started to turn back up as another confirmation. So that's a good thing. It shows that there's some clear signs of strength, all right, more legs to this reversal. And indeed, over the past 2 weeks after this bullish signal on the 7th of May, all right, we have started to push a little bit higher even more, all right. So now it's $135. So let me just go to draw this resistance back 150. I think we are kind of like approaching this resistance, so watch this level, right? I think 150 to 140, anything like 145 to 150, we could potentially see some slight profit taking, because that was where we have sold off from November all the way to January before we sold off even more. So just take note of this key level, right? 140 to 150, that's where some profit taking can come back. All right, so we got a bullish signal. We've started to push a little bit higher. I think the reversal is ongoing. We're on track to hit towards the 150. So watch this key level, the 150. I think if the 150 level were to give way, all right, I'm not too sure exactly when it will give way, but if you do breach the 150 resistance, the psychological resistance level, I think that could be a good thing, right? If it goes to like 152, 151, 155, you can see that I've set some alerts here as well. We may even trigger a new 1 GT bullish signal, and that's where we could see the next phase of the upside, maybe all the way to like 160 or 180. Targets could be revised higher. So this is Nvidia, not too bad. We got a bullish signal. There are some signs for the trend turning up over the past 1 to 2 weeks already, all right, and I think there could potentially be more upside. But just take note of this key resistance first, all right, to see if we can really breach it. Good if we can, all right, that's where targets can be even higher. Okay, let's take a look at the second magnificent stock. What would that be? Well, that would be Tesla, right? The code is TSLA. So Tesla got hit pretty badly as well, all right, since beginning of 2025 due to tech sector sell down, and also due to like Elon Musk not really focusing on like Tesla, as he's running his work with the government agency in the US, the DOGE, right, DOGE department, right, with Donald Trump. So that has kind of like led to a huge sell down in the stock since January, even before April. But over the past few weeks, started to see a bit of strength. So let's see where we are right now. So this is Tesla. Pretty good recovery. I think there could really be more leaks to the reversal as long as we stay above some very key levels. So the price now is $347. So let me just go to draw some very key psychological resistance for Tesla. You can see it right over here. It's the $300. Look at this, right? 300 is a very key psychological support level. It went all the way up after breaking it, went up to like about 480 to 500. Let me just put $500 would be a very key psychological resistance as well. All right, and you can see, right, 300 was where we broke below in February, and we were consolidating below the 300, right over here. We neared it, we came down, same thing, we neared it, we came down again, right? So from 300, support would be maybe somewhere around that 220, right over here. You can see a bit of support rebounded. So from March all the way to April, so even the sell down in April with the tariffs being introduced, right? Well, Tesla also sold off a little bit, but you can see that we were still supported just above the 220 to 200 support level, right? Whereby, since like March, it was already rebounding from that support level. Look at this, right? So rebound. But I think right now you have to put this stock in your watch list, because we have finally, all right, broken above the very key psychological 300 resistance level. As I say, right, 300 was a very key level, even all the way in like 2023. Look at this right over here, right? That was where we touched, we sold down. Over here where we broke above it, there we go. All right, there we go. I'm not too sure whether this is like like this right now, whereby you can reverse all the way up back to near 500. But you can see, right, 300 is a very critical psychological resistance. We have broken it once. I mean, it was a resistance previously in 2023. We broke it in 2024 November, and the rally actually happened from here all the way up to near that 500, about 50 to 60% upside. All right, so can we actually see that same move? Well, it remains to be seen, but right now, the fact that we have gone above the same 300, it could mean there's some serious buying pressure coming back. It's like an obstacle, all right, that has been removed, all right, and we are now free to go. It's like going from a small lane to like an expressway whereby you're free to go, all right, something like that. So let's take a look at what it says based on my 1 good trend strategy. So I don't have time to share with you guys the entire strategy today, right? But if you want to find a bit more, you can attend one of those free webinars. The link's right below the video. Click on it, attend a free webinar, and I'll share with you guys a bit on the entire one good trend strategy. But right now, I'll share with you guys how it looks like on my one good trend pro indicator, which is pretty much the the indicator for my strategy. And you can see right over here. Let's go to turn on the bullish and bearish signals. Pump. Let's turn it on and let's see what it says. There we go. All right, in a matter of seconds, any stocks, any asset classes, it comes up with bullish and bearish signals. So I'll not go too far, but you can see, right? I mean, somewhere in like April 2024, we got a bullish signal. There we go, all the way up. Of course, we will have bearish signals once in a while, and it starts coming down. Same thing over here. It starts coming down after a bearish signal, and even right over here, can you see, right? I mean, that was where I mentioned we went all the way to near $500, and we actually got a bearish signal in December. All right, December. That was even before Trump was inaugurated as the president, of course, before the April tariffs. So January, we actually got a bearish 1GT signal, and down it went, down, all the way down until you consolidated sideways. And what happens, right, from December all the way to May, finally in May, over the past few days, in fact, past 1 week, on the 9th of May, last Friday, we actually got a new 1GT bullish signal after 4 to 5 months, after the bearish signal came out. So this could mean something. All right, you see that the green 20 days moving average line that represents the short-term trend. Of course, since like January, we got a bearish signal. It was like up, and then flat, and then started point down, and it was like flat for the past 1-2 months, right? But right now, can you guys see that the green 20 days moving average line is starting to point up? I mean, it has already pointed up, right? So that would be another confirmation that the short-term trend has also reversed back up, right? From flat to up. So I think not too bad. Then it's good to draw another psychological resistance level. I think right over here, there was a bit of a support. You can see, right? Broke down, came down. So I think that could be the upside for Tesla, TSLA, all the way to like maybe 380 first. After 380, if that gives way, great upside targets could be all the way to near that psychological 500 resistance level. So it looks pretty good. I think anything above that 300 to 320 new support level, I think Tesla is poised to hit even higher. The reversal can be ongoing, and we may slowly recover to retest the previous high that we've seen near $500. Okay, let's take a look at the third and final M7, the Magnificent 7 stock I share with you today. And is it Amazon? Is it Alphabet? Microsoft? Well, that is not right. This stock is Meta, all right? Meta, M-E-T-A, Meta Platforms, right over here at $659. So this is one of the favorite stocks that we have, right? We have caught for it since last year. Very strong longer term uptrend. Just looking at the rates, 100 days moving average line and the blue line, you can see that both of these lines are pointing up very firmly, red above the blue. So the longer term trend has been up since like last year. Of course, in the short term, we saw a little bit of weakness. Of course, when starting in like February right over here, we saw a sell down in Meta stock all the way from like 700 all the way to like 480. The short term trend was down. So short term can be up and down, right? But in the longer term, right, it was actually in a pretty good uptrend, all right, all the way until recently, right? So let's see what has happened over the past few weeks. So you can see, right, we started to see the short-term trend, the green line going down, started to reverse back up about 2 weeks back right over here as we broke maybe the 550 or even the 600 resistance level, and the green 20 days moving average line has started to point up. So not too bad. Let me go to draw this resistance level that we've broken out. I think right over here, right, about the 550. Look at this, right? 550 was a resistance, bam, we broke above it, consolidated right over here, went up. Same thing, we were below it for a while, but I think over the past 2 weeks, we have clearly went back above the 550 to 600 resistance level. So not too bad. So let me go to turn on what we call the one good trend pro indicator to see what it says. Look at this right over here, pump. And let's see, right? So this is Meta Platform. So as I say, right, since last year, in fact, right, all the way in August, we had some bullish 1GT signal right over here, another one, all right? And we started going from here all the way up to here, about a 45% upside in about 6 months, all right? And of course, we got the bearish signal coming out in 24th February, right over here, 24th of February, that was a bearish 1GT signal. As you can see, right, that was where we started to see a bit of weakness. So if you see a bearish signal coming out, all right, based on this indicator. I think it's not good to just rush and buy in. I mean, that's where we are seeing some heavy selling. We could potentially retrace even lower, and that's exactly what happened, right? So we've got a bearish signal, and that was in February, right? Even before this whole April, Trump introducing reciprocal tariffs and all that. That was in like February, right? So we got a bearish signal, came down. Of course, 2 bearish signals came out in April when we sold down even more. But let's take a look at what has happened. So finally, same thing like Tesla, we actually got a new 1GT bullish signal coming out after 2 to 3 months, right? So that was like just last week on the 2nd of May, not too bad, last week, 2nd of May. Well, we got a 1GT bullish signal coming out. That's the first good confirmation of that reversal happening. First, it's pushed up a little bit higher, but I think there could still be more leaks to this reversal. I'll show you guys where some selling can come back. But the bullish 1GT signal has appeared, and the green, as I mentioned, the green 20 days moving average line, the short-term trend has turned up as well as another confirmation. All right, the longer-term trend, the red and blue, you can see they're just moving sideways, which is fine. All right, so sideways in the longer term, from the range of maybe 500 to 700, but short-term was like down, but now pointing up. So let's take a look at where we could potentially hit to before some selling can come back again. Well, I would say that this is the key level, somewhere around the 750 would be a very key resistance level. And in fact, we actually have another resistance right over here, somewhere around like 640. Look at this, right? It's a bit of a resistance here in December. Same thing, resistance, pump. We broke above it. A bullish signal came out right over here and went even higher. So look at this, right? Over the past few days, well, we have gone above that 640 to 650 resistance level as well. Right over here, I think today we are, over the past few days, past night, is 659, which is above 640 and 650, right? So not too bad. I think we can hold over the 640 to 650. The reversal is still on track all the way from here to 700 to maybe 750. That is where potentially some selling or profit taking can come back again. So you want to take some profit near there, I think it's perfectly fine. But take note, right? If you can lift off the 750 resistance level, I think it could be even more bullish. We might even get a new 1GT bullish. So this is the first bullish signal, right? But if you look back, there was the first, with the second, third, and fourth, and it goes higher and higher, right? So if you have like the second and third and fourth bullish 1GT signal coming out, I think if we were to break the 750, I'm not too sure whether it will break the 750, but if it does break the 750, I think it might trigger a new 1GT bullish signal, and targets could be revised even higher, maybe to 800 to even 900. So I'll be watching that. I'll set an alert, right, and see if a new bullish signal actually comes out. So that's it, guys. These are the 3 magnificent 7 stocks. Out of these 7, that has been my watch list. We started to see some signs of reversal coming back over the past 1 to 2 weeks. There were some bullish signals that were triggered. All right, we alerted to it. It flashed. All right, and it is ongoing. The reversal is still playing out. So you can put this stock in your watch list, guys. And as I say, right, you're gonna find out a little bit more about the entire One Good Trend strategy, and maybe have access to a tool like this that not just guide you when to get out, but also maybe when to get back in again, like what we're seeing over the past 1 2 weeks. When the time comes, all right, you can attend one of those free webinars, right? The link's right below the video. Click on it, register for a free webinar, and not only will I share with you guys about this indicator, but more or less the entire framework or the backbone behind it, so you understand a little bit more as to why each signal actually appears, right? And you're better able to time your entry and exit. Now, of course, in this webinar, I'll share with you guys about how we actually filter out, the top 1% of stocks before being guided on when to buy and sell them. Now we're just covering like, Meta, Tesla, and also Nvidia, right? But are they really the top 1% of stocks right now? What about the other stocks that are in the top 1% as well, right? So that's exactly what I share with you guys. How do we filter them out before we know when to buy and sell them? So Joey here. Thank you so much for watching. Click on the link below the video, register for a free webinar, and look forward to share with you guys a little bit more. And if you found this video useful as well, if you have put this stock in your watch list, great to give me a like, subscribe, smash the subscribe button. That will really help out the channel. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video. Take care.